Hey everyone, and good morning. My name is Sunil, a marketing consultant here at Click, and for the next 25 minutes or so, I'll be taking you on a journey on most things ClickDimensions and marketing automation. As you may or may not know, ClickDimensions has an email and marketing automation platform, which is of course the heart and soul of ClickDimensions. This demonstration will be a great refresher for those familiar with Click, and for those who are not so familiar, this will be a great introduction to our marketing automation platform. So fasten your seatbelt, guys. We're going to cover a lot of ground in a short space of time. I'll start by running through a handful of slides because this will allow me to set the scene and the agenda of the demo, and then we'll spend time in the solution itself. The slides will allow me to bring some structure to the demonstration, as well as the opportunity to provide you with a quick snapshot of exactly how we can serve. So without any further ado, let's get into it, guys, so you can see how we can enable you to effectively nurture your audience. Is this a familiar picture, guys? We know marketing's influence and responsibilities are always growing for us marketers, and it often feels like just as one challenge is overcome, another one surfaces. We need to do more with less. We have data siloed in various places, living disparately from each other. We need to stay on top of the changing behavior of our customers while delivering a more personalized experience, and we need to maximize our ROI for higher revenue and more. So I'm not going to read these all out, guys, but rest assured, we do understand the marketer's struggle. To address these challenges and to achieve success, we as marketers, we need smart marketing automation tech that integrates with our CRM, Microsoft Dynamics specifically. And this is where we come in. ClickDimensions is the marketing cloud for Microsoft Dynamics. From applications to analytics to services and much more, we have you covered. Our marketing automation platform is trusted by marketers around the world to help them find, nurture, convert, and engage the audiences that matter most to their business. We're massive when it comes to the customer journey. We understand the campaigns we run are only as good as the journey we lay out at the start. The ClickDimensions marketing automation platform application includes all the tools you need for marketing throughout the entire customer journey. We turn things into a self-fulfilling process as much as possible. But what are these tools I speak of? Am I just talking a good game? So let's find out. The first item we'll be covering in the demo are the ways in which we can support your inbound marketing activities. When it comes to inbound marketing, to attract and capture new leads to your marketing database, we have web intelligence tools. We can create landing pages. We can create those forms and surveys that you'll need, which speak to the CRM, and we can manage your events. And trust me, we can do a whole lot more. We have a whole services team who you can leverage if you needed bespoke support. And this is where we'll start the demonstration. Then once you understand how we can attract and capture those new leads, we'll then move on to lead management, where we'll start to get more granular inside of the platform. You can aggregate and manage leads generated from all your lead sources, be it those forms, surveys, landing pages, and events we mentioned on the previous slide. And you'll see how our lead management features will allow you to consolidate leads from multiple channels to score and to nurture them until they are sales ready. From here, we'll then start to go omni-channel with ClickDimensions. Once we get to this stage and you understand how you manage your leads, we can then think about how we can take them on a journey. Each marketing list you create in the CRM could have its own personalized campaign or its own customer journey. With this in mind, then, we'll look at how you can utilize our multi-channel tools to execute digital marketing campaigns across a wide range of marketing channels, including SMS and social media. And then lastly, we'll look at how you can automate the entire digital marketing process. We'll take everything from what you've seen on the previous slides and we'll create the ultimate and personalized customer journey. Our campaign management and automation tools will enable you to plan, automate campaigns, and report on the overall effectiveness of your marketing efforts. And guys, this is the last slide before we dive into the platform, and thank you for your patience up until now. And this slide is my favorite. It's like a blueprint that our customers follow in order to produce a successful digital marketing campaign. And this will demonstrate a few things. First of all, you're going to see how a typical digital marketing campaign works and perhaps should work. Secondly, you'll have the confidence that we can enable you every step of the way through the technology and, if needed, our services team. And lastly, you'll see how all the capabilities on the slides I just showed you fit together like pieces of a puzzle within one single unified platform. So first of all, any campaign must start with your pipeline generators. Any landing pages, web forms, surveys, and even social posts should all be designed intelligently to capture data from a user, a name and an email address at a minimum. Now, we are generating leads at this point. Once we capture this identifiable and opted in data, we then need to store this in a CRM so that we can begin to segment the leads that we have generated. These leads are considered warm leads because we have had a digital interaction, a form submission, for example. If somebody is showing interest in our brand, our products, or services, depending on what the pipeline generator was offering. Now that we have these warm leads, we need to segment them. We can segment them based on responses to questions we have asked at the pipeline generator stage, such as gender or interest, or maybe even by their marketing journey and behavior, which we will have access to because of the ClickDimensions platform. Once the segmentation is taken care of, we can then create personalized and tailor-made campaigns which will provide a better customer experience and therefore more success. Not to mention, it's completely automated and using a combination of all of our capabilities. The result of these strategic and defined automations mean we will have a sales funnel consisting of hot leads and real opportunities. We can even set up notifications as to when we want to engage the prospect. And then, of course, we need to calculate the ROI and look at ways to optimize the campaigns to get better results. We take our learnings and we rinse and repeat for the next campaign. Or we can go back and edit any automations we have set up. Okay, so thank you. Hopefully this provides a very clear picture as to what's possible with the ClickDimensions automation suite. And now we'll begin to jump into the demonstration. Okay, so we'll start with inbound marketing. And here we'll be focusing on our web statistics part of the platform, and we'll go through these various views one by one to start. So starting with IP organizations, what is this exactly? This is the organization that is associated with the IP address your visitors are using when visiting your website. Think of the IP organization as the umbrella of a company's interaction with your website. If you have multiple visitors from one company, you'll be able to see those visits here and other web tracking information as well, which we'll get into shortly. As you can see along the top here, we can identify things such as the name of the organization and location details, and even when they were tracked on your website. And this is very beneficial because you can start being proactive and reach out to these organizations who are showing an interest. You definitely want to reach out to the organizations where there are multiple records. This means more than one user from the organization is interested in your website. So let's dive into an organizational record to get more intel. I'll scroll down and I'll choose Zen Internet Limited for this example. And in this general tab, we can see information here such as how many anonymous visitors have been visiting our site, and they will be listed here. Under visits, we can see granular information such as duration on your website by minutes. We can see a score, which we'll talk about more throughout this demo. This will help us separate cold leads from hot leads. And we can see the referrer type, so we can uncover how this user came to our site, from which source, and more here, such as operating system and browser, if that's important. And from a website optimization and compatibility point of view, it can be. Scrolling down to page views, we can see which pages specifically were of interest to this organization. So we can be sure to include maybe relevant pop-ups or forms on these particular pages. And down below under posted forms, you'll be able to see if this organization or its users have filled out any forms hosted on the website, so we can immediately know if they have subscribed to us or engaged with us. Back at the top, we can make notes if we wish, and we can see related information, which are things I'm about to show you. Let's move down the web statistics list and click on visits now. This will show us identifiable data such as lead or contact names, as you can see, and similar information as to what we saw previously, such as duration on site, score, referrer type, etc. So we'll look into a contact and lead record throughout this demo, but let's stick with web statistics for now. And let's now click on page views. And on this page, I'll just focus on the page title heading here. This will show us the actual web pages being visited by known contact and leads. This will show us who have opted in and subscribed to us. And now because we have their contact details, this could be a great opportunity to reach out to these leads because we now know more about their marketing journey. For example, I can see what web pages have been viewed by someone, how long they spent on the site, and their lead score. You'll be so much closer to the customer before you've even introduced yourself. I'll now click on Anonymous Visitors. These records represent visitors that have visited your site but have not yet been identified as a lead or a contact. Similar to IP organizations, but this is a complete collection of all anonymous visitors that you can drill down to from the IP organization. But just think of this view here as a shortcut. And last but not least, for web statistics, we have the Web Analytics dashboard. This will show us a view of everything we looked at consolidated in one place. And as you can see, we have cards for active IP organizations, active anonymous users, active visits at an individual level, page views, a graph trending over time, and form submissions, which is very handy to assess the engagements. And next up, still from an inbound marketing point of view, I'll show you how you can easily create a landing page so that we can capture new leads. Okay, so before we get into it, what are landing pages? So as you already know, landing pages are standalone web pages that usually have a single function, which is separate from the rest of your website. You might use them to encourage customers or clients to sign up for your newsletter or to distribute coupon codes or to advertise something. You can link to landing pages from emails and embed surveys or forms into them as well. So let me go ahead and open this landing page template by clicking on Design. And I'll go ahead and I'll make this full screen. And let me first draw your attention to the options we have on the right-hand side. Under Content, you can see the various modules or blocks we can insert, such as a title block, a text block, a button, dividers, social media buttons, HTML code, a video block, branded icons, a menu bar so we can introduce a drop-down. We can embed forms and surveys, which I'll show you in just a minute, and lastly, an image block. As you can see, everything you will need, we have. Shifting over to rows, this is where we can get into the design. We can have 2, 3, 4, or 5 modules or blocks, things I just covered in the content tab, side by side. I can drag a row over like so, and I can then select the content tab and choose what I wish to insert. Clicking into each content item will present the content properties on the right-hand side, and this is where we specify the properties of the content block. For other modules, we can adjust the positioning, the padding, colors, etc. The Settings tab will allow us to set general options for the entire landing page, such as color, default font, alignment, and more. Under Actions, we can of course preview the landing page before we save it. We can see how it appears across multiple devices as well. And lastly, we can save the page and we can grab the link code or embed code. So we can grab a new custom URL or embed the landing page into an existing site. The choice is yours. And let's get into forms. Now I'll show you how we can easily create a form. But first, let's address why forms are so important. Forms allow your visitors to submit information such as their name, location, an email address, phone number, and much more, which you can then store in the CRM. Forms turn people into leads. Let me open a form into full screen so we can see the form designer. On the right-hand side, we have a filter, which consists of just two things, form fields and form components. Form fields are essentially the questions or the information we wish to capture, and form components are non-filled items that can be added to a form to expand its functionality or styling options, such as adding a title, a security capture to prevent bots from filling out forms, line spaces, page breaks, HTML code, a file upload, or even a phone number field which will be associated to a contact or lead record. We'll just need to simply drag and drop what it is we want over to the left-hand side, and it's done. Clicking Preview will enable us to see the raw form, and on mobile, and here we can test it. The embed option, just like with landing pages, will enable us to host the form in its own URL, or we can link to it, or what is recommended, you can just embed it as an iframe or a widget by obtaining the code from here and posting it into your website's backend. Now let me show you a real example of what a form looks like once it's embedded. Here you can see the same form embedded into a live website. It's tied to the CRM, so all submissions will be recorded and the data will be stored compliantly. Once we have this customer data, of course, we can start to form marketing lists and segment the audience based on their responses. More on this in just a few moments. And lastly, to finish off the inbound marketing piece, let's talk about our event management capabilities. We have connectors to Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Cvent, Eventbrite, GoToWebinar, and WebEx, all the big players. And whenever an event is run, we will record and track the event details automatically in the CRM, as you can see. So let's dive into one of these events. I'll choose this dummy event at the top, Troximo Ride to Buy 2021. And we're starting here in the General tab, which will provide us with the overview we need. The event information highlighted here shows us things such as the name, the source, our category, the action for every registrant to create either a contact or a lead, description, event date, and more. Just below, highlighted here, will be the data we pull in from the connector, such as the event URL, capacity, topic, venue detail, address, etc. And at the top, if we click on the Participants tab, we'll be able to see the attendees. Of course, this is a dummy event, so we have no data, but the tab shows what you will be able to uncover. Things such as name, email address, how long they stayed in the event, questions they asked, and more. Okay, everyone, so now we'll move away from inbound marketing, where I showed you how you can capture leads, and I want us to shift our attention to lead management. Let's imagine we've identified leads from our website. We now have landing page and form submissions. We've run events where people have registered and attended. But now what? How do we manage and prioritize these contacts or leads coming in from these various sources? So first of all, let's pick a contact and I'll search for one with some data. And now we're inside the record. And although we're in a contact record, a lead record will look exactly the same. But for the sake of this demonstration, I'm choosing this particular contact record so I can demonstrate real data. And here we start on the Summary tab where you can find what you expect: name, company, email address, contact number, etc. But notice we now have a ClickDimensions tab. And this is what I want to show you for lead management, how we can bring more value to a single lead or contact. First of all, you can see the lead score, which will help us determine how hot or cold a lead is. And how do we assign a score? So let me quickly shift tab so I can go into the settings to show you. In score settings, this is where we can set the point values. So if somebody has submitted a form, visited our website, viewed multiple pages, if we created an opportunity from this lead and so on, we can determine the values we set. Okay, so going back to our contact, on the right, we can also see which marketing lists this person is a part of. And more on marketing lists in just a few moments. We have a very cool way in which we can automate the marketing list assignment, which we'll get into. Down below, we'll be able to see which text messages have been sent. And across from here, we will have email events, which are basically activities such as email clicks, opens, and unsubscribes. Below this, we can see the forms that this lead has filled out. And below this, we can see the form fields or answers. Across from here, we have visibility into the pages visited. And now as I just slowly scroll down, you can see things such as survey participation and answers, emails sent to this individual, and some trending graphs below. And of course, this is a demo environment, so some fields are empty, but you can see how things will look and be presented in reality. So much more information at an individual level, as you can see. Okay, so let's get into marketing lists now, and let's start exploring the automation side of things. And let me just go into one. I'll do this one at the top here. And all I want to do here is to draw your attention to members. So I can show you how typically in Dynamics, how you would add people to a marketing list. So let me just click add. And here you see I have to manually search for records like so. And I'll click add. And this has been done. But guys, as you can see, this was a manual process and nothing intelligent about it. So what if I wanted to add individuals who responded to a form with a specific answer to a certain marketing list? For example, how do you wish to be contacted on a form? People who respond with email only get added to one marketing list called email, and people who responded with phone only get added to a different marketing list called phone. How can we segment the audience based on form responses? Now, for savvy Dynamics users, you might be aware of dynamic marketing lists to achieve this smart segmentation. But these dynamic marketing lists won't take into account new form submissions, so they're not entirely useful as you always have to manually update them. Let me show you how we can automate the process using ClickDimensions technology. So let me Shift Tab and open this automation to demonstrate. We'll talk more about campaign automation as a whole shortly, so I'm just going to explain some logic here. We'll get into the triggers and actions that you see on the right-hand side a bit later. So you can see this form here in red. This is a form that I have created in the same way I showed you earlier. And let's imagine one of the questions was, how do you wish to be contacted? You can see I have two marketing lists stemming off from this form, one called email and one called phone. So of course, based on the answer to this form, I will want users to be placed in the correct marketing list. Simple stuff. So let me click on this purple button to show you how we set the conditions. And here you can see the clauses have been set up. So you can see for the email list, I have said whoever has submitted a form for the question method of contact, where this equals email, go into this list. And exactly the same for below. If somebody responds to the question on the form method of contact to be phone, add them to this list. So now whenever you do get new submissions, they will automatically be added to these marketing lists. And the last thing I want to show you, which falls under the lead management section, is a campaign. So let me jump into another tab to demonstrate. Just a few things here I want to point out, and then we can move into the multi-channel orchestration section. In a campaign, you can see things such as marketing lists, which are related. And underneath, I wanted to show you the leads generated from this campaign. So sometimes you will want the individual view as I've shown up until now, but sometimes you will want a top-down view from a campaign level. So we can click into these leads and analyze them in the ways I have already shown. But let's head into the ClickDimensions tab, where we can give you those more granular views. So here you can see for this campaign, here are all the marketing lists associated, but as well as this, here are all the emails that have been sent. If we have had people subscribing in this campaign, we will have all the posted subscriptions here. If we've created any campaign automations for this campaign, these will be listed here as well. You can see visits trending by a graph, page views, and as we scrolled before, information you're familiar with now, such as form captures, posted forms, surveys, text messages, and down the bottom here, we can actually start to report on social media engagement metrics. And this is a great segue into multi-channel orchestration. So let's head there now. Hey everyone. So up until now, we've covered inbound marketing and the lead management. Now we'll focus on the multi-channel orchestration piece, which focuses on how we communicate with our leads. We'll start with social posting. Social posting is great at building brand awareness and obtaining new followers. What's more, with ClickDimensions, you can convert your followers into leads, and more on that in just a minute. First of all, let me show you how easy it is to create a social post. So first, we will create the record, and then you can see the post console will appear, and we can click on Create Post. Here is where we will create the post. We'll have the option to schedule the post, to add any images or videos or GIFs. You can add a PDF and choose the audience. Depending on the profiles you have connected, you can choose between the various profiles and networks at the top. Once we've published or scheduled the post, and you've assigned it to a campaign, of course, we can head on over to the marketing calendar. And here we can choose if we wish to just select social posts to get a view of the complete schedule and each post record. Once we've scheduled posts, and be sure to include links to registration pages, events, your blog, or even attach a PDF, because once users click on these URLs or open your PDFs, we can track this behavior and get insight into your followers. But let me show you what I mean. On this contact record, with ClickDimensions, you have access to a known contact or lead's social click information. Now, why is this useful? Well, we can see which social media campaigns this individual is a part of, so we can understand more about the content they are interacting with. Therefore, we know the content that is interesting to them. Perhaps this will be a specific product or service related information. We can, of course, see when and how often they have been engaging with us. We can see which network was successful for driving the engagements, and we can see the links clicked on. So useful. We can visit these URLs if we wished to find out which blogs they have been reading, which video explainers have they been watching, which landing pages or web pages have they visited, etc. We can also see the name of the post and some more information as well. So all of this allows you to get closer to your followers, but more importantly, now that we have their record in the CRM, they are now leads which we can begin to nurture and, of course, to drive sales. Now, although this is already extremely useful, let me show you how we can nurture these social media leads and contacts using our campaign automation capabilities. I'm just going to go ahead and open this campaign automation. And let's focus on the left-hand side here. I'll zoom in a bit so we can see it. And as you can see in this example, I have a top of the funnel marketing list. And in this use case, my goal is to fill this funnel with as many leads as possible. And throughout the rest of the campaign, these leads are warmed up through the nurturing and events process. You can see on the far left here, typical and good ways to fill the funnel. We have manual ads, we have marketing lists, and we have a landing page connector. But we also have a social click trigger, which I'll drag onto the workflow now. And this is extremely powerful. With ClickDimensions, we're able to assign a specific post to this trigger, and you can use multiple triggers for various different posts. And this is why it's so important to ensure your social media posts include URLs, hashtags which are clickable, and PDFs, because once they are clicked on, the trigger will activate and so the workflow will start. So this is a massive differentiator and a great way to nurture your social media followers outside of social media, utilizing various other methods such as email, text, events, and more. Next up, and still within the multi-channel orchestration part of the platform, we'll look at the email builder. And I'll just open this up in full screen. I'll take a minute here to demonstrate how this works, all from within the CRM, as you can see. So on the right-hand side, we have the designer consisting of all the various elements you'll need to create a visually appealing and functional email like we see on the left-hand side. You have the option to include images, text, buttons, spaces, social links, social sharing options, HTML, video. You can also save sections as favorites, and you can choose to drag and drop these as you see fit. There's a global style tab, which will allow you to dictate what you want the overall email to look like. Things such as padding, colors, fonts, etc. There's an embedded HTML builder where you can paste any HTML code in. And there are a few options at the top here. We have the option to preview the email across desktop as well as mobile. We can send a test email to an email address. We can validate the email and check for free marker and run it through a spam test. And of course, you can choose one of our email templates so you don't have to design these from scratch. Very quickly how you can send a bulk text message. Of course, this can be automated with campaign automation, but we can do so here as well. We'll go ahead and create the record first, of course. We can then add a marketing list. Message content is where we will create the message. And of course, we just need to click send. Lastly, I'll show you our new survey builder, which is great for tapping into your existing customers, asking for feedback and getting those NPS scores. I'll open up the designer so we can see what this looks like and how it works. So on the left-hand side is where we find the toolbox. These are all the various ways in which you can capture information, whether these be text boxes, check boxes, radio groups, drop downs, ratings, matrices, and as you can see, a lot more. Once you've chosen the item that you want, you can literally just drag and drop that onto the screen here. I'll go ahead and I'll delete this for now. And each question on the right-hand side will have its own properties. So this is where you can give it a name and a description and start to set some rules. There's also logic which we can build into these surveys, which is very, very handy, and I'll show you how this works. So I'll just click on test survey here for this example survey, and you can see here's a form. I have the option here of putting in email addresses and some of my information. As I scroll down, I can check boxes that are of interest to me. And down below, you can see we have an example of a drop down as well. But the logic comes into play where we can actually decide on what we want to happen to the survey based on a specific response. So for example, please rate our staff service at the store. If somebody was to reply with a 5 or a 4, that's good enough and we don't need to follow up. But if somebody responds with a 0, 1, 2, or 3, you can see down below a matrix opens up so we can dive into this to get more information. Down below is another example. Have you visited our online store? If somebody says yes, then maybe we can ask to rate their online store experience. If they say no, then maybe we can set up a campaign automation where whoever says no to this question will receive an email inviting them to the store. So I'll just go ahead and I'll close this down. And just to recap what we've seen in the multi-channel orchestration piece, we walked through how to create a social post. You had a view of the social calendar. We showed you the social click information for your followers. We then spoke about how to set up a campaign automation utilizing the social click trigger. We then looked at the email template builder, ways to send bulk SMS messages, and lastly, the survey builder. Hi everyone. For the last portion of the demo, we'll review the ways in which we can manage a campaign and view activity in various ways. We'll first start by looking at a running campaign automation, which I'll go ahead and I'll open. And you can see here in the statistics tab at the top, we can assess how a campaign automation is performing. We get visibility into things such as participants who have completed a specific part of the customer journey, how many participants are still active at a particular stage who have not yet completed the stage of the journey, and lastly, those who have exited the workflow. Moving over to the Participants tab, we'll get a complete list of all the leads in this campaign automation with dates. And lastly, switching back to the builder will allow us to pause a campaign, make any changes, and then resume. I'll go ahead and I'll minimize this. And next up, I want to show you the marketing calendar. The marketing calendar will give you a complete overview of all the various marketing activities that you have running, from campaigns to emails to campaign automations to text messages, events, and social posts. We can see these populate on the calendar, and if we wanted to see the individual records, we can click on this. We can get a snapshot of, in this case, what the social post was, and of course, we can view the full record, which will take us to the part of the platform where we can dive into this into detail. Next up, I want to show you our email statistics report. With email statistics, whenever an email is sent and you start to get user engagement, you'll have this report out of the box. Let's go through these various tabs one by one. So on the Overview tab, you can assess the overall performance. Things such as how many people or what percentage have interacted with the emails, what's our bounce rate, and what is our unsubscribe rate. We can see who's interacted by their click rate and their open rate, and down below you can see you get information into deliverability, and if you are split testing, you'll get this data as well. Moving on to the Email Clients tab, you'll be able to see the behavior by device type. How many people have opened the email on the desktop as opposed to on mobile. And you can see you have the top clients here, browser on the left-hand side. Clicking into conversions, we'll be able to see again how many emails were delivered, unique clicks and opens, but down below you can actually start to understand web activity stats as well, such as how many people or what percent visited the website, submitted a form, completed a survey. And on the right, you get the overall web activity as well, which summarizes what we see on the left-hand side. The click report will give us an insight into which URLs have been clicked on. The recipients tab will show us all the individuals who have received the email. The click heat map will show us where they have spent time analyzing the email with their cursor and which buttons have they been clicking on. And lastly, the social shares tab will give us an insight into how many people or who have been sharing the email via social if we choose to use the social click sharing option when creating an email template. And lastly, I want to take a look at a campaign record just to demonstrate that for a campaign, you'll always be able to understand how many leads were generated for a particular campaign. And notice we have the ClickDimensions tab here as well. If we click into this, you'll get all the information that you need tied to a campaign in the CRM, such as which marketing lists are associated with this campaign, which emails have been sent, posted subscriptions if we have any, which campaign automations are assigned to this campaign, visits driven to the website from this campaign, page views, and as we scroll down, a whole lot more. Posted forms, posted surveys, text messages sent out, and even social clicks. So these are the various ways in which you can manage a campaign and monitor results. And I hope you found this video useful. Thank you.